Alright, welcome to Poker Savvy video series number 3. Ringleader, Jeremy Steinhausen. And in our first video of Ringleader, we started off by going over a hand history from one of my old clients. This is going to be a hand history from a new up-and-comer, UCD Lacrosse. Once again, I'd like to thank him for allowing me to use some of his questions and hands that he wanted to look over so that everyone else can benefit from that as well. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So, Blues Train, I think when me and Julian were discussing this hand, we had discussed that Blues Train and Ram McDonald, the two players that had put money into the pot before we had to make a calling or before we had to make a decision in the small blind with ace-8 suited. These guys are both fishy. Julian at the time felt like this was an okay call because both of those players are really bad. And while I do like his logic there, I still feel like it's a little bit loose for a couple reasons. One being that we're in the small blind, so we're not closing the action. There's definitely a possibility that Eva 8822 could squeeze us, not allowing us to see the flop. And two, I feel like even though we do have decent relative position on the razor, I've played enough pots like this to know that against a player like this, we're not going to find ourselves playing in a whole lot of terrific spots, in my opinion, to make up for the fact that we're playing out of position against two players with a pretty weak suited ace not closing the action. So I would have liked to fold pre-flop, but that was somewhat of a marginal spot. Didn't really matter too much either way, although I think I routinely would like folds there. Anyway, we hit this flop, and obviously this is a great flop for us. And you know, in today's games, and it's always been this way, but especially in today's games, you have to play every kind of hand you have perfectly, or just, you know, small edges are really starting to count up in today's game. So even when you have the nuts, thinking really hard about how you should play it, based on your player type, is extremely important. And although this is going to sound kind of new to some players who always think, okay, we need to get stacks in, there are definitely situations where you have a really, really strong hand, and you know that trying to get stacks in, the lines that you'd have to take to try to get stacks in won't be the highest EV, and that you actually should be focusing more on maybe getting him to bluff because he has so much air, etc., and so forth, maybe only getting half his stack.